So did you guys see Fred VanVleet go after Ben Taylor, the referee, and say he was trash? If you haven't heard it, haven't seen it, definitely go find it. It's a little old for me to play here. Actually, let's do it. For those who have missed it, let's start there.
I mean, I don't mind. I'll take a fine. I don't really care. I thought, Ben Taylor was fucking terrible tonight. I thought that most nights, a couple of the, out of the three, there's one or two that just fucked the game up. And it's been like that a couple games in a row. Denver was tough, obviously. You come out tonight, you're competing pretty hard. The third quarter, I get a bullshit tech, changes the whole dynamic of the game, changes the whole flow of the game. And, most of the refs are trying hard. I like a lot of the refs are trying hard. They're pretty fair. They communicate well. And then you got the other ones who just want to be dicks and just kind of fucks the game up. Nobody's coming to see that shit. They come to see the players.
Nobody is coming to see that shit. And let's face it, Fred VanVleet has a reason to be mad. He's had 8 technical fouls called against him across 7 games. 5 of those fouls were in games officiated by Ben Taylor. His double technical foul game against the Pelicans was also officiated by Ben Taylor. So 2/3 of his techs came at the hands of Ben Taylor. Nothing to see here, right? It's like totally ordinary. That's normal. Well, Luka Doncic has 15 techs this year, twice as many almost as Fred VanVleet. But no individual ref has called more than 2 on Luka. Doesn't it seem a little suspicious? Seems a little sus. Fred VanVleet was fined $30,000 for those comments, which is $20,000 than most people thought. $25,000 is the automatic fine for anyone who criticizes or even intimates that there is a referee issue for the purity of the game, I am sure. But this has raised now awareness on bad refereeing. In fact, I think Fred VanVleet might have started a revolution. Aaron Ben Rose tweeted, "A lot of highly paid players in the NBA are going to willingly contribute to a lot of NBA charities now that VanVleet has showed them the way." The latest is Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart also believes that the refs are targeting players that they don't like. Smart was asked if there was an explanation for why he's been in so much foul trouble. He laughed and said, "I don't know if you guys saw Fred VanVleet's interview. That's all I'm going to say. That lets you know I'm not speaking out of my butt. I'm going to let Fred do all the talking." But we know Marcus Smart, right? He's not going to stay silent even when he says he's going to stay silent. He continued by saying this: "In my 9 years, I have definitely had that where I feel officials have a personal vendetta. And numerous, too. Sometimes they feel like they're going to get the emotions get the best of them and make calls and judgment calls the way that they officiate. It happens." Do refs have personal vendettas? You think? Yeah, I mean, these are human beings and you see the same people. It's like working in the same office as someone. You see them every now and again. You get the chance to give them the shiv back, and you do. The most famous case, of course, is Scott Foster, who I think has, at one point, ref 14 straight playoff losses for Chris Paul. Do you guys remember that stat? He was 0-14 when Scott Foster was refereeing in the playoffs, which is statistically almost impossible considering Chris Paul has a playoff record that is 72-70. The NBA, of course, does not think that refs have vendettas because it's the NBA, and why would they say anything else? Former ref Monty McCutcheon, 25 years on the hardwood. He's now the VP of Referee Development and Training. This is what he said: "We have an entire basketball strategy and analytics teams that grades referees. And when we see commentary like VanVleet's, we go into analysis on referee and on referee-player relationships. Something like this comes up and we flat out see whether there is bias or not. And in my 5 years as VP of Referee Development and Training, we have not found such bias in a single instance." I mean, does McCutcheon know that Tim Donaghy was in the league for 25 years without a flag, one red flag being raised? No bias at all, though, right? None. Zero. And it's not like it's in their best interest to advertise bad refereeing. This is why they don't make referees available for comment after games, because they probably show their ass and say something dumb about Fred VanVleet and why he was teched up. This is why Anthony Davis said, I guarantee that if refs started getting fined for missing calls, they would be better. Julius Randle said bluntly after a loss to the Clippers that the refs sucked. All you got to do is watch the game. When a reporter followed up and said, oh, the refs have a no blood, no foul approach, Randle replied, oh, there was fucking blood. Woo! I think we're all kind of tired of this. We are. This is a referee problem. We know there's a referee problem. I think this year is maybe the worst it's ever been. When Scotty Barnes got that technical foul for the night before for saying something under his breath about the game being cheated, and then not only did he not have a technical foul under his belt at that point, the one tech got him ejected with 1 minute left to go in the game, and of course that was Scott Foster's ass. You have to say, maybe these players have a point. Fred VanVleet, to me, seems like the last person to start this. He does not seem like someone who is finding reasons to dislike refs and cuss out refs in a contract year. Raptors beat reporter Michael Grange explained that it took months of anger for Fred VanVleet to boil over. This is what Michael Grange wrote. Turns out VanVleet was correct. Taylor was on the job in 5 of the 8 games the Raptors point guard was teed up, and for his only career ejection. Put another way, Taylor has drawn the Raptors 6 times this season, and VanVleet has gotten 5 technicals and has been kicked out once in those 6 times. In VanVleet's other 49 games, he's gotten 3 technicals and no ejections, which for VanVleet is all the proof he needs that something is going on. The floor is not level. The sense of fairness is not there. What's to come with all of this? One thing is for sure. People are going to be looking at a lot more carefully at referee matchups in the coming months, just in time for another Scott Foster, Chris Paul playoff game.